What's up, everybody? Welcome to this Titans preseason game edition of the Armchair Tighten Up podcast. This is your guy, Brett Batchelor, along with my other guy, Noah McKay. Noah, what's up? How we doing?
What's up, Brett? I'm feeling good, feeling great, except for the fact that all these people think our season's over after one game.
That's your
I
little
mean,
disclaimer you had?
yeah, people, it's the preseason. I like to remind everybody that in 2008, the Lions went 0-16, and they went 4-0 in the preseason.
So did the Browns last year.
Yep, the year the Patriots went 16-0, they went 0-4 in the preseason. So that result does not matter. What we're going to talk about is what matters. The things we can take away from the game.
Exactly. You're talking about, and that leads us right into our first point. You're talking about the things we can take away from this game and what the good things that we saw. And of course, the good things we saw was with the first team offense when they first came onto the field. So the Titans elected to receive the opening kickoff, and they went right down the field and scored. 9 plays, 71 yards, took 4 minutes and 38 seconds off the clock. And the good thing that I like to see right off the bat was Derrick Henry got the first rush of the game on the very first play, just 3 yards. Marcus was sacked. So you had 3rd and 7. And immediately he hits Nick Williams on a great pass across the middle that gained 38 yards that really kept the drive alive and just pushed the offense from there on to help take them to an early score.
Yeah, that drive was, exactly what I think we hoped to see out of the first team offense. We saw them in rhythm with good timing, marched right down the field, good play calling. It's funny. I saw something and then I started thinking back to last season. I was like, it said, is that the best drive that the Titans have had in the last year?
You would think so.
Honestly. And I looked back and I thought back and I was like, yeah, he got sacked, but they were in rhythm. They drove right down the field. It's one of the best preseason opening drives that I've seen by far.
It was really good. And then you get down there and you cap it off with a great throw to Darius Jennings right across the middle and another slant route. And they talked about it on TV too. It was almost like a pick route that allowed Darius to get open, but there was no contact, so there's no reason for a flag to be thrown because technically there was no contact on the pick, so you can't throw a flag, but it's a great design play to help Darius get open.
Yeah, it was a great play because if you saw, I can't remember who the other receiver over there was, but when they ran the play, he lined up far enough away from Darius where there was no way he was going to make contact with that corner, but he was definitely going to be in the way of that corner. And then Mariota, I saw a couple people say that it was a bad throw by Mariota. No, it wasn't. Mariota put it right in his breadbasket. So number one, the guy covering the other receiver couldn't come pick that pass off. And second, it got him away from the corner, allowing the pick play to be set up. It was a perfectly designed, perfectly executed play. And if we think back to last season, a huge problem this team had was scoring touchdowns in the red zone. We get in the red zone, and it's a field goal. Preseason game 1, you want to see your team cap off drives. You want to see that first team offense cap off drives when they get the chance. They had one chance to do it, and they did it. That's a good sign.
Exactly, and you're talking about perfectly thrown balls. Another ball that was perfectly thrown by Marcus was that pass to Nick Williams that we talked about a second ago on that 3rd and 7. Marcus put that right up there next to his face mask on his back shoulder away from the defender where the defender did not even have a chance to put his hands on it.
Yeah, and it's those plays that Marcus excels so great in when he can get the ball out quickly. He gets them in right off a break, a timing route, and he feeds the ball right through those small windows better than almost any quarterback in the league, and then he just hits them and they're off to the races. Another good thing to see. That drive was full of good signs for things that we were hoping to see. It's a brand new offensive scheme, brand new offensive coordinator, head coach. You don't know how it's going to take. I think it would have been understandable if they were off a little bit in that game, but they weren't, and you like to see that.
And another thing, too, I like to see – we're talking about Marcus a lot here, but that's what people want to hear about is how is Marcus going to look in this new system. I noticed that Marcus used his legs a couple of times. He only really had one, quote-unquote, rush that he gained 7 yards off of, which was nice. He had a couple where he slid down right at the line of scrimmage, so that didn't really – it was more of just kind of a scramble and slide and stuff like that, a couple that he threw away. But it was nice to see Marcus use his legs. And then you look at Marcus's stats throwing-wise on the drive. He was 2 for 3 for 42 yards and then a touchdown. So although we only saw one drive out of Marcus, it was just he just looked comfortable and kind of in the system. It's a system that is basically tailor-made for Marcus.
Yeah, when we talked to Red Brian last week, he said you're going to see a lot of screens. You're going to see a lot of bootlegs. And we saw a piece of that today. And, it's just a small piece. Matt LaFleur's not giving away his offense, right? He's smart. This is just a small piece of what we can look for. We can look to see more of these schemes in the future. And those schemes are designed to help Marcus Mariota. And talking about those bootlegs real quick, the value of those is so good because he makes, a first down on a couple of those bootlegs and the defense has no choice but to respect it. Then all of a sudden he goes to bootleg out, stops, and chucks a deep bomb down the field, and you've got a huge play. That adds a completely new dimension to the offense when you can get the quarterback moving out of the pocket in a safe way.
Exactly. So we're talking about the quarterback situation right now and how Marcus fits into the system. You look behind Marcus. You have guys like Blaine Gabbert and Luke Falk who are right now. Blaine Gabbert's the backup quarterback, and I don't think it's really a question because Luke
Yep.
Falk, although his stat line looks okay tonight, he didn't really look that good. Kind of like if you think about it, Zach Mettenberger had great stats when he played for the Titans, but he never won a game as a starter. So
Yeah.
I mean, so it's things like that. So Blaine Gabbert came in after that first drive. He looked okay. I mean, he's a career backup for a reason. But you look at Blaine, he was 9 for 15 for 76 yards, and that was pretty much it. So Blaine just kind of came in there and just ran the offense for, 2 quarters and then kind of let it go to Luke Falk after that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Blaine is definitely the backup, at least at this time. I think Luke is the backup of the future without a doubt, but I was not impressed by either one of them, specifically Blaine Gabbert. I mean, Luke Falk wasn't playing with backups. Backups are supposed to be able to play in this league, and Blaine Gabbert, that offense looked inept. When you compare it to one drive to the next, Mariota takes that offense and drives right down the field without a problem. Gabbert comes in, immediately gets a 3-and-out. I mean, he just didn't look good at all. And I agree. I think Blaine Gabbert should be the backup this season purely because of his experience, and Luke Falk needs more experience at this level, and he's got to get used to it because it's a completely different animal than Pac-12 football.
Yeah.
But I would not be opposed at all to seeing Luke Falk take second-team reps so he can get up against better competition in the preseason when these results don't matter. If they put him in as the backup next week, I wouldn't be opposed to it at all, just so he can get reps with better competition and better teammates.
It's just one of those things, right? And you look at some of the throws that Luke made tonight. You can tell that he's a rookie and that this was his first career game. The Titans got down inside there late in the game in the fourth quarter, inside the 10-yard line, and it took Luke Falk 4 tries just to make the right throw into the end zone. Yeah. He eventually ended up doing that to Tim Simmons for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But he threw 2 fade routes to the left corner of the end zone that really weren't even close to being caught. And then he threw one across the middle to I don't remember who it was that he threw it to. But the throw was there. Or the route was there. The throw was not. The throw was high and away, forced him to dive, and it was a wide open touchdown. So just things like that. And he had a couple passes that were a little overthrown that were lucky that were not intercepted. So it's just one of those things where it's going to take him some time just to get. I mean, like I said, he's a rookie for a reason. It's just going to take him time to get comfortable.
Yeah. So we talked about. I agree with you. Moving on a little bit here, we talked about Marcus. Talk about who he's throwing the ball to now, because I think the bottom half of this receiving core is so interesting to me.
Yes.
Especially considering who the heck knows what's going on with Rashard Matthews right now.
Yeah,
I mean, September, if he's still hurt, that injury report is going to be the most viewed injury report in the history of the Titans, because nobody knows what's going on with this guy. And each day that goes on, when we don't hear any updates about it, gets more and more concerning for me. When it started out early in the preseason, early in the mini camps, I said, all right, calm down. It's probably just tweak something. Now it's clearly not a tweak of something.
And he's not traveling. And look, in this situation, the Titans would love it if they could take the hockey rules of injury reports and use it in this situation and just say, you know what, upper body injury, lower body injury, we don't want to say anything else. But in the NFL, you're required to give some sort of injury report that's different than the NHL's. But in this situation, the Titans would love it if there was an NHL type injury report.
Yeah, and so I say that to say we both agree. I think Corey Davis is the number 1 receiver. I mean, for the Titans to be successful, he has to take a step this year. Rashard Matthews, Lord willing, if he's able to play, is the clear number 2 on this roster.
By far.
3, and in my opinion, I didn't expect to necessarily say this before. I think Taywan Taylor has staken his claim as the number 3 wide receiver on this roster. I mean, it's clear he's been great in camp. He fell today. He tripped on a route today, but to me, he is certainly the clear-cut number 3 wide receiver at this point. Then you get into 4 and 5, and it becomes interesting because, you have Darius Jennings, who got a start today. I didn't expect him to get a start today.
No, I did not either.
He played more in the first drive than Tajay Sharp did.
He did.
So right now, it looks like he is the 4 wide receiver on the roster. Yeah, apparently. And then Tajay looked like the 5th, but then, we had Deontay Burnett, who seemed to be doing something in camp. Right. And, it'll be interesting to see how Vrabel handles it next week. Is he, saying this is the way this is looking right now, or is he going to start cycling between
those people have tended to like Jordan Vesey as well in camp. So, and I'm not saying that he'll be on the team
Yeah.
over Tajay, but you're just talking about the bottom half of that receiving core. There's a lot of guys down there.
And the Tajay situation is weird for me because, he had real good spots in his rookie year, and then he got hurt, and it just seems like he's been quiet in camp.
Well, and that foot injury that he had last year kind of came out of nowhere, honestly.
Yeah.
And then he had surgery on it, and this foot injuries are so hard to come back from. So honestly, I don't really know what to expect from Tajay at all.
And then you have Michael Campanaro, who everyone said was going to make the roster because of his special teams ability, but at this point, who knows? I mean, that bottom is going to be so interesting, and I think by the end of the third preseason game, we're going to have a lot better of an idea. But it would not surprise me if any of those. I'm at the point where it wouldn't shock me if Tajay Sharp isn't on the 53-man roster at the end of the season.
I don't know if they would do that.
That's surprising to me. No, I don't expect it.
Right.
But it would not shock me if he doesn't make the roster. They just don't seem, from what I've seen, they don't seem to. I don't want to say they don't like him, but they don't seem to just be like, oh yeah, he needs to be on this team.
Right.
And I don't know if Tajay even expected that because, he was so highly touted.
Tajay played some of the two his rookie year.
Yeah. I mean, he caught those 2 touchdown passes,
522 yards.
He could definitely play, but the fact that Darius Jennings started over him tonight was eye-opening to me. I was not expecting that at all.
Darius Jennings has been really solid ever since he showed up. Really solid. True. And I think a lot of people have slowly picked up on that, and the same thing goes for Deontay Burnett. Deontay Burnett's also done really well.
And there's a 100% chance that Deontay Burnett's going to give everything he's got to take that spot from
100%.
And I don't have a doubt in my mind that John Robinson would not hesitate to do what he thinks is best for this team.
Yeah, that's all he's going to do. That's all he's going to. And it's that New England Patriots type of attitude that we're starting to see more in Nashville is, look, we really liked you before, but we got somebody else better now, so we'll see you later. And
to me, Burnett was better than Sharp tonight from just what I saw. He popped more off the screen, and his stats were better than Deontay Burnett had 3 receptions for 24 yards. Tajay Sharp had 1 for 20.
Exactly.
But when you're playing in those second and third quarter of a preseason game, you're not going to get all the balls that you normally would. But to me, Burnett looked a little bit more impressive tonight. That's not to say that Tajay can't blow all of us away next week in week 3. But I think it's something that we all definitely need to keep an eye on as this preseason continues.
Maybe it's just me, but it felt good to see Tajay back on the field tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've liked Tajay since day one. Like we said, I think Taywan's he's not the clear-cut 3, but Taywan is definitely faster than Tajay. But Tajay's a little bit better of a route runner. So that's where it comes into what do the Titans want at the bottom of that receiving core, because there are so many guys down there. Kind of like how you look at the running back position. There's not as many guys right there, but obviously the one is Derrick Henry, 2 is Dion Lewis, and maybe they're going to flip-flop back and forth and split those snaps this year. The big spot that we're looking at is the 3 position, because you got David Fluellen, who's been a career number 3 running back for the Titans for a couple years now, and every single preseason in Nashville, that's when it becomes flu season, not in December and January. Because that's when Flu comes out of nowhere and tells everybody that, hey, I should still be the 3 on this roster. He's been through there with guys like Antonio Andrews, Bishop Sankey. He's been here for a while now as a 3. But now you bring a guy like Akram Wadley in here who honestly is a pretty good player, better than Khalfani Muhammad was last year by far. So you bring a guy in here like this right here who's actually really going to battle with Flu for that 3 spot. Yeah,
and, I came into this game with a complete open mind on this position, right? Because I think that's the way the coaches were looking at it, Fluellen versus Wadley. And then Fluellen got a carry early and took off with it. And I think it was like a 10-yard gain. And it was like, okay, flu season is here.
Yeah, 11 yards,
Wadley put the ball on the ground quickly. And it brought home to me, because I was thinking before the game, Wadley's going to have to run the ball really well to have a chance, because I know that he had that great kick return after that.
64 yards.
But Adoree Jackson is the kick and punt returner on this team.
Yep.
They don't need Akram Wadley. And then after that, it's Michael Campanaro.
As I said, that's why they brought Campanaro in.
It is not. And I think you probably agree with this. David Fluellen is a better blocker than Akram Wadley is. Yes. He's bigger.
Yes.
He's more experienced. He can be trusted. They know for a fact that he can be trusted to protect Marcus Mariota's blindside.
Yes, and Flu, they can use Flu on special teams.
And when that ball went on the ground, the thought that went into my head is, at this point, I feel like it's David Fluellen's position to lose. I've gotten that. I think that they'd all know how much of an explosive player that Wadley can be, and I think he's going to get signed by somebody else before he goes on the practice squad for the Titans, because they would love to have him on the practice squad. Yep. But in my opinion, Fluellen right now is the leader for that third spot. He looked better tonight running the ball. Wadley has that explosion that he just comes out of nowhere, right? He had 9 carries, and you just look at the averages. Wadley had 9 carries for 27 yards, 3 yards a carry.
Right.
Fluellen had 3 for 21, 7 yards a carry.
Exactly.
And Fluellen was carrying the ball earlier than Wadley was, which means he was going against better competition.
Right, exactly.
And Wadley is young, and I think he could actually be a good number 3 in this league. I just don't know if he's a better number 3 option right now for the Titans than David Fluellen is.
And like we said before, Flu is a lot more experienced. You can use him as a 3. He's a better blocker. He's going to protect Marcus, and you know that you can use him on special teams because he's a little bit bigger guy than Akram Wadley is in the first place. So you bring a guy like that, it would just be hard to let him go, and especially he's not a fan favorite, but everybody knows that he can produce for this football team.
Yep.
Kind of like how the fans knew that Supernaw, even though we just released him, fans knew that Supernaw wasn't going to do anything but just do what he was supposed to do in the first place, and that's kind of the vibe you get from Flu.
Yeah, and to me, I like to play devil's advocate a little bit. God forbid Dion Lewis or Derrick Henry gets hurt, I would feel better about David Fluellen getting carries than the rookie at Iowa at this point.
Yep.
And so, I think that's got to be a big factor in the decision.
I completely agree. And speaking on those special teams part, we saw Dane Cruikshank in there on special teams. Talked about this. We talked about this, me, you, Austin, Trey, before the game started, that Dane, even though he's not a starting safety and wouldn't be, but he'd still play safety this year, he was going to be a big factor on special teams because he has that. He's good. He's a good size. He's quick. They can use him as a gunner to go down there. Very first point of the game, LaShawn Sims pops the ball out. Very good play.
Great play.
Dives for the ball like he should, and just honestly just gets hit the wrong way, falls right on that left shoulder, immediately hurt, goes out of the game, does not return. And when he was walking into the locker room, that left arm was not moving at all. So that's not what you want to see from a rookie like Dan Cruikshank.
And number one, I mean, that was awful. It was rough to
it's
see.
Almost like a thing too. He just hit the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, he was going for a high effort play. He put his arm out, going for the ball, and the guy just fell right on it. And it was just like you knew the way he was laying there on the ground that something was wrong. And then to pivot, this is not good for the Titans back into the secondary.
No,
because you just signed Kenny Vaccaro, and it's like, okay, well, Dane can be a backup now. I mean, he's going to get his snaps.
Right.
Now there is no clear-cut backup strong safety on this team. So Kenny Vaccaro, get ready. You're about to get a lot of work, first of all. I think that it's entirely possible that if this injury is not good, that John Robinson is going to go sign another safety.
He might give Eric Reed another call.
Now, I'll tell you this right now. If there's apparently somebody's motorcycle racing outside, apologies. Wow. Anyway, if this secondary has Eric Reed, Kenny Vaccaro, and Kevin Byard,
that's ridiculous.
Crap.
The Titans might start playing 3 safeties at once.
Why not? I mean, you can put Kevin Byard on any tight end in the league, put him in man coverage, use him as a corner. I mean, honestly, you never want to see a guy get hurt. And it's like I said when we had Red on and Jonathan Cyprian, no matter how I felt about Jonathan Cyprian, you don't want to see a guy get hurt like that.
No, not at all.
If you don't like a guy, you want to see him get beat out by somebody else that's better than him. You never want to see a guy go down like that, especially a rookie that's so, seemed to have promise coming up and was going to get an opportunity. And now, you hope that it's not as bad as it looked on the field. Right. And apparently we're probably not going to figure out what it is until September unless it goes on IR, unfortunately, because if they're going to sign somebody, then they would have to put him on IR.
They have to put him on IR, right.
But I would also question, I don't know if Eric Reed will come here, although he's not getting calls anywhere else. So
no, and the only reason he didn't show up here in the first place was because his flights got canceled.
Yeah.
He just was, honestly, he was going to come for a visit.
Right.
No matter what people want to think, he was coming to St. Thomas Sports Park for a visit. It was just unfortunate events that allowed him not to show up.
Yeah, and I think that's just crazy. I've been saying that I think the Titans defense has the potential to be a top 5 defense in the NFL, especially with the secondary the way it is. And by the way, as we're on this train of thought, we're talking about this preseason game. Can these people complain about the Titans defense? I need you to stop for me, please. Dean Pease was doing nothing with that defense tonight. They were showing absolutely nothing out there on that field. It was man-to-man coverage, nothing fancy. Safeties weren't doing anything crazy. Malcolm Butler got burnt by Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is a really good wide receiver.
And barely, too. Barely.
Yeah,
Devontae
and he
made a
caught
great.
up. If Malcolm Butler turns his head the other way, or just doesn't turn his head at all to go look for the ball, because he turned to look for the ball, he probably breaks up that play or at least has a better shot at it.
Because at the very last second, Devontae turned out towards the sideline, and Malcolm didn't see it. And it was honestly Brett Hundley threw a perfectly thrown football.
Yeah, 100%. That defense is going to not look like that in the regular season. And then if you go back and look at Malcolm Butler's history, he's never been a good preseason player, right?
No.
Some guys just aren't good in the preseason. They can, they give these speeches that these games matter. When you're at the level of a Malcolm Butler and you're a bona fide starter, okay, you're not going to be killing yourself out there to stop a pass. It's not going to happen. I mean, the games, they're protecting themselves. These veterans know they have to protect themselves. They have to stay healthy. They're not going to be just killing themselves on these plays. It's just the way it is. The only game where you may start to see it is the third preseason game, because that's the dress rehearsal game.
Right. And remember tonight,
calm down, everybody.
No Rashawn Evans, no Brian Orakpo either.
Yeah.
And
then
most likely your day one starting linebackers not even playing.
And then also on the linebacker line / defensive end, Harold Honor Landry.
Landry is fantastic.
That dip
was unbelievable. The strip sack.
That was filthy. I mean, and you saw it coming too. It was textbook right around the edge. Do more of that, please. That's
what Vrabel has been talking about these past couple of weeks. Vrabel has been talking about Harold Landry nonstop when he gets the chance, saying, "Hey, look, we're pushing him hard. We know what he can do. The offensive line knows what he can do." Yep. And we saw a little bit of it tonight. And I think that goes to the fact of, look, he fell out of the first round. Nobody still really knows why. I mean, they obviously know why a little bit because of injuries and stuff like that, but he's still a first-round talent. So, but you look at some of the plays he made tonight, and the way that Vrabel just talks about him in camp, he does it very subtle. He doesn't go out there and say, hey, this guy's going to do this guy's going to do that. But they talk about the fact that he lines up against Taylor Lewan, and he lines up against some of the best. And 2 years ago, this was the best offensive line in the league. So you get to line up against guys like this every day, and the way you hear coaches talk about him, it just shows and we're not freaking out. It's been one preseason game, but it just gives you hope of what this guy could be.
Yeah, and on that Taylor Lewan line, that he's been going against Taylor Lewan every day. If you look at the Titans schedule, Harold Landry will go against possibly a better left tackle than Taylor Lewan once all season when they go to Dallas to take on Ty Smith.
Right.
That is the one time he will line up against somebody who maybe is a better left tackle than Taylor Lewan. He's not going to break down the walls in camp because Taylor Lewan's not going to let him. Okay,
right,
it's just not. Taylor Lewan's not letting this rookie get by him and touch his quarterback. It's not happening. So when we see him in games just blow past these subpar left tackles, that's what you want to see. 100%.
So we'll end on this real quick. So we talked about pretty much the running back battle, the quarterbacks, the receiver battle. 14 different receivers caught a pass tonight, which is crazy. 14 different guys, about 10 receivers, 11 receivers, because you had a couple running backs catch a pass. But still, 14 different people caught a pass tonight, which, one, I think people love to see because it's more of a LaFleur offense. Two, the Titans are trying to figure out who all their weapons are. So, and then we'll move on to this. We'll end on this. What is it that you want to see in week 2 of preseason next week against Tampa Bay that you weren't able to see tonight?
I expect to see more than one drive out of the offense, the first team offense. I'd like to see drives put together successively, right? I want to see multiple drives like the one we saw tonight, back to back, because that's how you win football games. You start stacking up points, right? You take the ball first, you score a touchdown, you force the other team into 3 out, you score another touchdown, all of a sudden it's a 2-possession game, and it's real hard for the other team to come back against you. I want to see and then in addition to that, I want to see the first team defense make a stop, right? They got blown past by Brett Hundley and the Packers today.
Yeah.
They marched right down the field. They need to make a stop, right? I want to see a 3-and-out. Jameis Winston is a bum. I said it, right? If he even plays, if he's not suspended again out of the preseason. Don't get me started, Jameis Winston. He's not better than Mariota. He's never been better than Mariota. He never will be better than Mariota. I want to see him play 3 snaps, get off the field, 3 more snaps, get off the field. That would be ideal. And then I'd just like to see more separation in these position battles, right? I'd love to see Wadley have a great game just to make it interesting, right? I want these competitions to get real tight so that we have options when we have to make 53-man roster cuts. What about you?
I want to see some passes to Corey Davis because I want to see how healthy he is. I want to see his hands, I want to see Corey Davis. I want to see a fade to Corey Davis. I want to see him go up and get it. That's
Yeah.
what I want to see. Like his first reception ever last year against Oakland. Give him
Mhm.
one of those in the end zone. Let's see Corey go up the ladder and get the ball. I want to see Rashaan Evans on the football field. I know he's hurt. If he's still hurt next week, don't put him on there. But if he's healthy, put him on the football field. This is our number one. This is our number one overall pick from this draft this year, at least, for a reason. This guy needs to be on the football field if he's healthy. If not, that's okay. But we got to see him eventually.
Yep.
And then I'm with you. I want to see the running back battle heat up. I want to see Akram Wadley get 15 carries, give Flew 15 carries. Let them open up. Let them find holes and just push. See who goes better from there. And that's pretty much the main thing. I mean, obviously, wins don't really matter in the preseason. I would still like to see a win, of course. But those are three of the big things that I want to see. Corey Davis going up and getting the football, Rashaan Evans on the football field, and the running back battle.
Yeah, and then on the running back battle, we know what Derrick Henry and Deion Lewis can do. Let's see more of the later guys. Let's make this decision, right? Give them snaps with good players. Let's see what they can do. If God forbid they need to take snaps in the regular season, let's see what they can do against competition that's not third and fourth stringers on the other team.
Yep, I agree. No, this was a lot of fun for sure. I mean, I know both of us love doing this all the time, and now that we got preseason games, regular season games, I can only expect that we'll be doing this more and more often. So this was a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing it again, of course, with you. And as always, we're going to end every podcast just like this right here. Tighten up.
Tighten up.